Welcome to the Kickstart Your Coaching Edge podcast, where it's all about getting real around all things coaching.
And what we know for sure is that what got you here won't get you there.
You can't see the spinach in your own teeth.
And finally, hang on, because this one's really deep. Once you realize that you are the traffic, everything makes complete and unadulterated sense.
Hey, Kara.
Yes, Jennifer.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Deja.
Deja who?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
So the reason I bring that is because we're here again to talk about accountability.
I love that you just crack yourself up so often.
So let's continue on with this episode on accountability. Karen, I know you love to do this, but I know you checked out Webster. And what did Webster have to say about accountability?
So it's kind of funny because technically the definition is the quality or state of being accountable. That's not helpful if I don't know what accountable means. However, it goes on to say, especially an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions.
You know, it's interesting, Kara, as you know, but our listeners may not, is that the other week we were working with a team in an organization around accountability. And we asked them, what words do you associate with the concept of accountability? And we had 32 people submit in what their words were. And the largest responses, the people who responded, the words that were, I'm saying this so weird, but most people said words like ownership, responsibility or responsible, alignment, and commitment. But a whole bunch of other words came up as well, such as results, morals, clear direction, honesty, goal setting, guidance, punishment, babysitting. So it was really a real gamut. So it could be qualities that you see, but it also could be your own reaction to when you hear the words accountable.
Yeah, really, because if you think about it, it's like so many other words, like what's your definition? So what's the first thing that pops into your head when you hear that? And it makes me think like the people that are saying babysit, right? Are they tired of babysitting, or are they the ones who are getting babysat, right? So that makes me think of, with this babysitting piece of it. You can't just tell people that they're accountable and expect them to do it, right? You have to help. Sometimes you have to explain it, right? You have to make sure that you're clear on what accountability really means. But I think a big thing is so people understand what accountability really means, why it's important, what are some of their beliefs around it. But I think that part of this is understanding too that you can't really delegate accountability. Right? You can delegate tasks, but you're not going to be able to delegate the accountability piece for whatever whatever it is that you're essentially responsible for. So that just was spinning around my head when we were talking a little bit about the babysitting piece of it.
It's interesting because people really do crave accountability. So people are 65% more likely to meet a goal after committing to another person. And that percentage increases to 95% if ongoing meetings occur.
Oh, I totally believe that.
Yeah. And so it's about then having other people know what your plans are to be able to so you sort of have even built-in accountability, even if they don't ask, but you've shared the information with somebody, you're more likely to follow up with it, which is really great. And over 73% of employees feel that accountability is one of the most important things they like to see in their workplace. So people crave it. I think a lot of times it's how accountability shows up. sort of like you said, if it feels like they're being babysat or micromanaged, maybe not so much. But people do crave the ability to say, this is what I said I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it, or being accountable to a culture, to a meeting style, to another person, to a project, to a deadline. There's so many different ways that accountability really comes to play.
I wonder, Jen, and while you were talking, this just kind of popped into my head. I wonder if accountability kind of breeds accountability, but then I bet if we did a study, and we're not, but if we did a study, my guess is that the more accountable you are, or the more accountable teams are, that success is really linked to that.
Oh, I would completely imagine, right?
Yeah, it's almost, as I'm saying it, it's almost like, yeah, duh, no kidding, right? So being able to create, almost like, it doesn't matter if they're working with yourself, a culture of accountability, it's probably like a really kind of secret power of high performing teams or people. And if you think about, what you just said about the accountability, and when you share that accountability, it probably snowballs.
Well, let's break that down a little bit, right? So if you think about accountability and why it's linked with high performance teams or successful teams, are one of the things is if there are accountability check-ins, it also shows, are we aligned? Are we prioritizing the right things? Are we fulfilling our mission and what it is that we want to be doing? Are we doing it following along the agreed upon company values? I mean, there's so many different ways that accountability tracks with other important things. Specifically, what's coming to my mind is team alignment, about what we're going after, why we're going after it, and how each person is critical to the success and the overall contribution of what's going on.
You know what would be brilliant? What would be absolutely brilliant would be, and this makes me think about working with teams, to have, because we just heard so much about, ownership and babysitting and punishment and alignment, all these different kinds of things with accountability. But I think a really great exercise would be, let's redefine accountability, right? What does accountability mean to you? What does accountability mean to this team? Because if you're seeing it as babysitting, and if you're seeing it as punishment, or you're seeing it as negative, why would you want to do it? So if we can redefine accountability and really promote accountability, then I bet people would be more excited about it. Well, maybe not as excited as you get about things, but they could be very excited.
Well, let's even TFAR that, right? So TFAR, your thoughts create your feelings, create your actions, create your results. Karen and I talk about TFAR all the time. So if we even had the thought part of it be exactly what you just said, Kara, right? So what does accountability mean to this team, right? And getting the thoughts being the beliefs about accountability, what we want it to be for this team, how will we know? And then what feelings do we want to have around accountability? Empowerment, ownership, pride, excitement. Okay. So if we were to have that, what are the actions that we are looking for? What are the behaviors do we expect to see? And therefore, how will that affect the results? That would be a super cool, fun exercise. Whether you do that with your individual client, or you do it in a team environment, or you do it for yourself, as you start to look at your relationship with accountability. Karen Sullivan, I think that was a brilliant idea you had.
Thank you. I'll be here till right now, because we're going to say stop, and we're wrapping it up, and we will see you next time.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Kickstart Your Coaching Edge podcast. Craving more in-depth discussions? Check out the Get Real Inner Circle with our no BS in crowd of coaches.
Join live coaching discussions, breakdowns of coaching calls, and have some fun while you're at it.
You're going to want to go to kickstartyouredge.com/inner circle. It's time to get real.